Hey, what's up, guys? I want to introduce you to Jacob Couch before I get into this podcast. He was one of the most humble guys I've ever talked to, not just through podcasting, but in life. He's an amazing human being. He's been through quite a bit. I'm going to link down all of where you can find his videos, his social media. I highly recommend you find him and you go through his story. The extended version is going to be on Flow Grappling. You will be able to find a shortened version, or eventually they may put it on YouTube. But either way, this is definitely worth the listen. I apologize for any quality issues. I'm still working out some bugs. This guy is solid. Whether or not you are into jiu-jitsu, into fighting, or anything else, this is an amazing listen. And I want to welcome you to the one and only Hillbilly Hammer.
Got it. Okay.
All right, green light means go. All right, Jacob Couch, thank you again for coming on and doing this. I cannot thank you enough, man. For those of you who do not know Jacob Couch, he is a brown belt now, right?
Yes, sir.
Brown belt in jiu-jitsu, trains out of Pedigo Submission Fighting in Mount Vernon, Illinois. You can find everything on YouTube and on Flow Grappling. And I stumbled into this dude watching a video of him basically sleeping on a mat that people were bleeding and sweating on. and it reminded me of like kind of me coming up. I hit him up and now we're here and kind of going to go through the story of your upbringing and how you got to be kind of like where you're at now. And obviously it's not where you want to end up at. You still have future goals. So kind of get into those a little bit. So why don't you just go ahead and kind of tell everybody kind of who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself, and kind of kick it off.
I'm from southeastern Kentucky at a place called Hazard, Kentucky. It's a place of about 5,000 people. I lived in a place called Bonneman that's like right outside of Hazard. But I just say Hazard because it makes more sense. It's like the city and the county you're from, basically.
Right.
So I just say I'm from Hazard, but Hazard's about 5,000 people. The little area I lived in outside of Hazard, that's where I stayed. It's 1,100 people. It's even smaller. It was the size of my high school, basically. My high school was like approximately about 1,000 people. I got into like martial arts and training and stuff through I was getting picked on online on Facebook comments from a few of my like quote friends. Like looking back, they weren't really my friends, but they were just who I had to hang out with. They were kind of picking on me on the online stuff, like just like bullying me a little bit. And then these two brothers, Ken and Stone Beverly, were trained martial arts or MMA and jiu-jitsu and all that good stuff. They trained, and I went to school with them, and they had seen that in my comment section. They had seen that I was getting picked on, and I wasn't really standing up for myself. So they commented on there, and then they were going back and forth with the two dudes. The Ken, the older brother, he messaged me privately and was like, "Hey man, we get you set up. You come train, learn how to defend yourself. You know, maybe you could be good at this." I was like, all right, cool, bro. Like, I love watching the old UFC replays on like ESPN3 or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
So
right.
I was like, always loved to watch them, but they were only on sometimes. So I like just watched them whenever they were on there. So Ken messages me, tells me to come, and I'm like, all right, dude, I would love to come, but I don't have a ride. So they gave me a ride. His dad, whose name is Kenny Beverly, he gave me a ride the first week. I met him. There was like a right up the hill from where I lived on the road, on like the main highway, there was a Papa John's, and we met every day in that parking lot that week. So he could pick me up from the Papa John's and take me to the gym, which was not that far. But anytime we really just couldn't afford the gas. I remember the first time I seen somebody put more than $5 in their gas tank, I was like really, really surprised. Like ultra shocked that was even a thing and that was a possibility. So they let me train the first the owner and coach of the gym that I trained at, Donald Neese, he was a very nice man. He let me train. The gym dues were $50 a month. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't reach that. Couldn't do that for the first 6 months. So they let me train for $25 a month. And so from there, I trained like from sophomore year of high school to senior year. And when I graduated high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. So the like school people and like the board and like all the official people at the school, they care about the numbers because it means more money brings in, less regulations, all that good stuff. I personally don't feel like they care about students. They're not really in a position to, but so a few of them had convinced me to go to college or to try out the community college. And I had like halfway signed up. I like didn't really complete all the forms, nothing like that. And then this gentleman by the name of Adam Gomez offered me the opportunity to come up for a week and train in a place called Georgetown, Kentucky. And Georgetown, compared to where I'm from, is a big city. It's only 30,000 people, but it's a big, big city compared to where I'm from. And just like how the city's kind of set up. So I was like, man, that'd be really cool to go up there and like live or go up there and stay for this week and train. So I go up there, I'm training with the guys. And one of my coaches from there, his name was Sandro. He was talking to me. He's like, it's a very straightforward individual. He said, so you're poor, right? And I was like, and we're in like a circle after training, like we're all sitting there in a circle. And I'm an 18-year-old kid. I don't really know nobody. I'm just like, I'm kind of like new and uncomfortable and like nervous and all this good stuff.
Jesus, bro, just called you out.
He was like, so you're poor, right? And I was like, well, man, I mean, if you're putting it that way, yeah, I guess so. So he's like, here, do this. Take a year away from college, train jiu-jitsu full time. You have a lot of potential. Let's see how you like it. If you don't like it, you can always go back to school, but you'll never be able to get that year back. I was like, all right, bro. All right, good deal. So then I did that. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to do it. Fuck it. I'm going to do it. I don't want to go back home. There's nothing hazard for me. I have no reason to be there. No reason. And my whole life growing up, I always wanted to leave. Go somewhere else, like find a new place. So this is my opportunity. And I took it. So I moved up to Georgetown where I lived for 2 years. I did all right for myself in competition, all that stuff. While I lived in Georgetown, I had learned a ton, had a bunch of great training partners. And then I found out about PSF. So on January 7th, 2020, I moved to PSF because I felt like it would be the best for my future. Was it the most comfortable move? Of course not. It was very hard for me to move away from all those people because they all treated me like family, and I still feel really close to all of them. So it was not an easy move, but I understood what was going to come out of the move, and I understood what going through that like grieving process and the loss of like being connected to all those people. I understood all that, and it wasn't very easy, but I just understood it was best for the future. That's all. So, and now here we are.
All right, man. And here we are. So you keep talking about Hazard and how like bad it was, and like through watching everything, like it looked pretty shitty, man. Do you mind like talking about like where you came from? Because one of the biggest things that I thought was impressive is like I remember growing up and watching like MTV Cribs, or not Cribs, but like there was a show to where like the NBA player would go back to his high school, and like the teachers would see him and you get to like meet the students and like all that stuff. Like, and I got to see you do that. That's always been something that I thought was really cool. And the way you talk about the town, like what exactly goes on there for you to want to literally take any branch that you can to get away from that city, kind of like make you who you are. I mean, like you can watch them on YouTube, see the video, but like it seemed like it really shaped who you were or who you are.
So the reason the reason I wanted to move away so bad is Hazard is a very low ceiling. There's a low ceiling in Hazard. So the cap potential wise there is not as high as I've seen, not as high as the potential I believe I have in myself. So with that being said, I knew I was going to overflow, like, just internally. If I stayed in Hazard after I graduated high school, it wasn't going to be good. There was going to be nothing good come out of it. And I always just kind of wanted better for myself. So, because I knew I was better than all the hardship and all the hard stuff that goes on there, like the addiction, the overdoses, all that good stuff. I knew I wanted more for myself than that.
Did you ever get into like partying or like drugs or alcohol or anything?
No, man, not really my thing.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like I remember like watching the videos and stuff. I remember watching you go through like the trailer and seeing like that you had written down on that door.
Oh my gosh, dude, that was one of the when I wrote that, I was like,
what exactly did you write on the door?
Like, I wrote it. Like it wasn't a serious thing. I didn't even think about it, and now it's like I'm starting to try to do that more and more, but just the amount of effort I put in then and the amount of effort I put in now is like I guess you like kind of write or speak things into existence.
Yeah. So for people that haven't seen like the documentary or video or whatever you want to call it, would you mind like kind of explaining like exactly what the door and like what you wrote on it, like the significance of that is?
So it was probably after I missed like 3 or 4 days in a row after training or something like that, like just being lazy. And I was like trying to pump myself up. So I wrote them on my door, which was like plastic wood, by the way. It was so soft. I threw like a golf ball at it playing around one day, and it just like went straight through the door.
Was it those trailer doors where they're really thin, and then in the middle there's like that cardboard, like the zigzag cardboard?
Yes, exactly those.
Yep.
I felt really bad about myself one day because I was like, oh man, I'm being so lazy. Like, I was just like, this is stupid. Like I should be doing something, but I wasn't. I wasn't making the decision to do something. So I put it, it is all of me. So I wrote on the door, I put, you get out what you put in, or work hard. You get out what you put in. 100% is mandatory. That's why I wrote that on the door and never even thought anything about it. Never really paid attention to it much again. It was just kind of there. And I guess that like subconsciously carried with me. Every now and then, so, I still, like Memo says, I still got my lazy spells, but.
Yeah, what was it like to go back to that trailer? Because I did this thing to where like a couple years ago, I went back to like a trailer that I was in, and I slept on like this like ottoman type thing, or it was like kind of wide enough, but like it folded out into like a kind of a bed. And my bulldog and I, like, we kept each other warm off of like the stove, and so like that was like one of like the worst winters I've ever had. And so I went back to that trailer to like take a picture of it. And I've always wanted to be like, all right, like I started here and now like I've gotten here, And so like to see you actually like go back and like go through the actual like place where you grew up, like how does that like affect you, I guess?
It brings a really sincere form of appreciation for me. Just being able to like overview every aspect of the journey kind of gives me like a broader spectrum of vision on how far I've come. I remember being, honestly, it's crazy. I remember the trailer being so much bigger when I was smaller. Like I felt like it was like so big. Like I could run and jump around and like do all kinds of like just kid stuff, really.
Yeah.
And I walked in there and my head was touching the ceiling. I was like, no fucking way. this place had. I remember this place had to be bigger, like, but it wasn't, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. It looks so small.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I thought that it was like one of those double ceilings, and it had collapsed a little bit because just watching you, you did look. It looked short. I mean, like just from like where the camera was. I don't know, but
The ceilings were always bowed in like that.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't always that bad, and the floors weren't always that bad, but the trailer was always like slanted. Like you set a pin down and it would like roll.
Yeah.
So with the roof and stuff though, it had always had like a bow to it, no matter what. So and the light it always kind of like hung down real weird.
Yeah. So I know like another reason why kind of watching like the videos, like I don't want to talk about too much about what we talked about before this, but like you had spoke about addiction, and kind of like Hazard is like very well known for addiction, and like you had some like addiction in your family. Um, I actually came from like the opposite spectrum of that. So I'm the oldest of like the children in my family, and I actually went to rehab about 3.5 years ago, like for prescriptions and alcohol, and it just had gotten to a point where I was like done, and it's almost been like something that I've been like afraid to say out loud, or like ashamed of like things that I did before, and afraid of like what people will say about me now. And so like hearing you be like open about it, like I've never actually heard that before, so like thank you for doing that, first of all. Second of all, what so I know like you have the video out and everything, like would you mind talking about like the relationship with your mother and how like you got to be with your mama, or is that just something that you don't really want to talk about?
Oh no, that's fine, man.
All right.
Me and my mom are actually on really, really good terms right now. She just got out of rehab and she's doing amazing.
So that's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Really exciting. So when I was like 2, my mom had took me to a babysitter and got too high and forgot to come back and get me. So the babysitter called my mama, or my grandma. She called her and told her like, hey, she's not here. What do you do with it? What do you want me to do with him? Or basically like that, and like trying to figure out where I need to go. And Memo came and picked me up and got my name changed over and legally adopted me and all that good stuff. And then she raised me from 2 to when I moved away.
Yeah, I saw like when you went back to Hazard and there's like an interview type thing to where like you and your mama are sitting on the couch. Just that conversation, like it reminded me of like me and my grandma. Like my grandma, she's like little 4 foot, like 11, like English looking, like little tiny woman. And like it reminded me of that. Like that interaction was like a very genuine thing. What is your relationship like with her now? And like I don't know how much of it was like how you guys recorded it, but like she seemed depressed to like see you kind of like drive away, but like at the same time
every time. It doesn't change. It's never been. It's oh my gosh, it's so bad. She cries every time, and I know it's coming too, because she'll try to speak. She'll start to try to speak to me. I'm like, all right, ma'am, I gotta go. Yeah. She'll start to speak to me, and she'll go. She'll like look away, like wander for a second, like come back to me and just hug me. But man, mine and her relationship is great, man. She messages me every day, checking on me, telling me good night, telling me how much she loves me all the time, every day, like 3-4 times a day. And we stay in touch really well. She's doing a little bit better now. She got really, really her health is terrible anyway, but she got really, really sick, like especially sick like a month or 2 ago. And now she's like doing a little bit better. Still smokes like a freight train. Just smokes an absurd amount of cigarettes and nicotine. So mine and her relationship is really good though.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I know like you're clearly going places. You've came up like just from like I've only been into jujitsu for about 3 weeks. I've been like in MMA for a long time. I'm doing my master's in like dietetics to work with combat sports athletes, but like I've never actually like dove into jujitsu to like who was who and everything, and kind of through that, I just found out yesterday that we were learning like a bottom pass type thing, and you had flipped a guy from my gym. Like you were like the reason why we had that little seminar part was you had actually. His name is Mike, and we're in, I don't know, but I'll text you and let you know. But we're in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So if like it was recent. Yeah.
Mike,
I honestly don't know his last name.
is he an MMA fighter?
It's possible. It's an MMA gym. Yeah.
Oh, what is his name?
It's
do you know if it's at the Midwest Finishers in Chicago?
It was recent. I know that, but it was just a jujitsu tournament.
Right,
yeah, whatever. But yeah. So anyway, so you're clearly going somewhere, and it's like all your videos are gaining traction. Like you're getting people to come in. You're like, you're just you, bro. And like there's so many people that simple, like, yeah, I know, but like it's not simple. Like, I'm even like, I mean, I'll be man enough to say, like every time I go around like certain set of boys, I feel like I got to act a certain way, and like that's a flaw that I have that I'm working on. But seeing you, like you don't do that, like that pushed me to go to the gym, and now everybody in that place is positive. Like nobody talks shit. It's one of the most positive atmospheres and respectful too, because you can't steal someone's shit because you're gonna have to settle it right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So like seeing you kind of come from that and you're going far. Like you obviously have a long way to go. You just helped Heath out with you guys won the Nogi Pans as a team, right? And then you also
our blue. We didn't even need any points from the brown or black belts, bro. I think we won that with just blue and purple.
Really?
Yeah, I swear. It's crazy.
God, yeah, dude. I feel like I was kind of like blessed to be able to find you guys when there's already this compilation of videos. I don't have to wait for everything to come out.
Oh, like content wise?
Yeah. So it's like I got to like get introduced to Heath and get introduced to all of you guys, and then see you kind of like come up and win the championships, and like like get like you got or went from brown belt to black belt, and like just kind of like seeing all these things. It's really sweet to actually kind of almost like feel like I'm a part of it in a weird way because of like having
that's awesome, man.
Well, I mean, like watching it, I mean, like it's realistically like during a pandemic, nobody can really do anything. And to be able to find something new of like being able to exhaust emotion or feeling,
yeah, it's awesome. It's like a glimmer of hope, bro. That's all it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like we do that. I feel like that's what it's all about. And I think the success is like a runoff of that. The winning the competitions and all that shit. That shit's cool, man. It's obviously great. We all want to win. Nobody wants to fucking lose. But being able to like help somebody think in a more positive manner or change somebody's life or like motivate somebody to go to the gym and better themselves. That's what it's all about. That's why I think that's why we are who we are. And Heath is the biggest he's the orchestrator of all of that. So and he just runs a really the sales runs the sales really well, and we surf the waters all right.
Yeah, I know like I had said something about coming down there and kind of training, and it's definitely something I'm gonna do. I talked to a couple of coaches at the gym, and like so we do like the fundamentals, and then right after is like an intermediate. And with me being like a bigger guy, I try to throw people around. Like if I'm like learning fundamentals with like somebody that weighs 140 pounds, and then like they just let us go, I'm gonna like overpower these people. I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about. Anyway, but yeah, I lost my train of thought.
happen.
But but anyway, like you're going places. Where exactly are you wanting to go? Like, where are you taking this? Because you've already went back to Hazard once, and like you even said like you outgrew Hazard, or like you were gonna overflow, and like you're climbing the ranks in jiu-jitsu. You're doing well online. Do you have like future plans, and kind of like what do those look like?
So I don't really worry too much about the future or like anything like that. I'm more of like a one step at a time. I just know the way I've always thought about it is if I just keep my head down, keep doing the same thing, keep working hard, it'll all pay off. And that's the way I think. And that's the way I think I'll always think. I just try to move forward and get better each day on and off the mats as a person and how I treat people. And how I do jiu-jitsu. I obviously want to get better at that, but just keep trying to be a better person and keep trying to be a better practitioner. Those are only really two things. Because the way I look at it is the less factors you have, the less things can go wrong. So you have like a circle, and what's inside the important circle are those two things for me. Everything outside of that circle is not as important as those two. What's that?
Oh no, it's apparently Canon just decides to shut off after 30 minutes for some reason. It's just an asshole and just it's the mess with me sometimes.
Yeah. So if there's like an important circle, those two things are in that circle for me, and everything else is it's not like it's not important, but it's definitely not as important as those two things. Those two things are priority. And that's probably how I live my life till the day I die.
Dude, that's amazing. I feel like I'm slowly learning that. Like the pandemic's kind of taught a lot of people a lot of things.
Yeah.
And priorities and putting myself first and everything. It's definitely up there. So
you have to be a little selfish.
Yeah. You definitely have to be a little selfish every now and then. So all right, man. I know it's getting late over there. I want to thank you again for coming on.
Oh, dude, thank you. This is great.
Your story is amazing. Why don't you tell everybody where they can kind of find all your story online, find you on Instagram, and what your nickname is and how you got it, and I'll let you go.
All right. At the Hillbilly Hammer on Instagram, Pedigo Submission Fighting on YouTube, Pedigo Submission Fighting at Pedigo Submission Fighting on Instagram as well. Flow Grappling, we have a whole series on there. Shout out. Can I shout some people out?
Of course.
Alejandro Viner, George Valdes, Heath Pedigo, Andrew Wilsey, Michael Pixley, our gang of white belts. I'm not even gonna start on those because we have so many. Really, you know what? Fuck, scratch everything I just said. Everyone here at PSF, everyone that supports the revolution, I support you.
Dude, that's amazing. All right. Thanks again, man. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to put a link below for everything. And also tell, is Alejandro who does the videos?
George.
Yeah. Tell George he's really good. I like his shit. So
yeah, he's amazing, dude. He's
dude. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's awesome. So, all right, bro. Thanks again. I appreciate your time. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, man. Peace.